Hello, I'm Dr. Richard Ruling, inviting you to consider a series on end-time events, and this focus, which will be short, is on the Day of the Lord, the end-time apocalyptic period as discussed by the prophet Joel. There are more references in his book to the Day of the Lord than any other book in the Bible, and we're going to be looking at another bestseller beside the Bible, John Hagee's book of the Four Blood Moons. We might wonder what are blood moons. Blood moon is created when there's a full lunar eclipse and the Earth tends to bend the sun's rays like a sunset on the moon, creating a salmon-like color or blood. And it's a fact that in Joel, the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 31, it says the sun will be darkened and the moon turned to blood. In other words, a blood moon before the day of the Lord as a sign. Well, that sounds exciting and interesting, especially when we realize that there are four blood moons, a tetrad, which is a rare situation. They fall coincidentally on Jewish feast days last year and this year, with the focus this spring on Passover, and the solar eclipse comes on March 20, just 2 weeks before the lunar eclipse that gives the blood moon. That's significant, highly significant, I think. It's in Hagee's book. It shows that this is a very rare occurrence, especially if we consider the sabbatical or Shemitah year, as they say, because that comes every 7 years. And 7 years ago, it was economic collapse. 7 years before that was 9/11 in the year 2001. So 2001, 7 years later, 2008, 7 years later, 2015. Big stuff coming, perhaps. And the signs of the sun and the moon were endorsed on the first page of the Bible. Genesis 1, verse 14 says God appointed them for signs and seasons or appointed days, is the meaning of the word moed. And the word moed fits the Passover. Those were appointed times. Passover was a time of judgment. We're going to look quickly at the book of Exodus, chapter 12. In verse 2, God says to Moses, this is the beginning of the month, the first month of the year. Now, what he was indicating was the new moon of the spring month. And this year, it has a total lunar eclipse. So God is marking the beginning of this year with a total eclipse on the sun, I should say. And 2 weeks later, they put blood on the moon, on the doorpost in Israel, in Egypt, but we're putting blood on the moon, or God is, so that we can see the parallel marking along with some other signs. In the Bible, it says the evil servant begins to smite his fellow servants. Well, what's ISIS doing? Beheading Christians, and specifically even children. I saw just this past week a child on a cross. He was probably 10, 11 years old, but crucifying a child. This is the evil servant smiting his fellow servants. And in that context, the Bible says, then shall the kingdom of heaven be like 10 virgins, which is Christ coming as bridegroom, etc. So we're at a significant time in history. Rare things are happening. Billy Graham said if God waits much longer, he'll have to apologize to Sodom. They paraded their sin, as it says in the New International Version of the Bible in Isaiah 3, verse 9. Well, we have gay parades as well. So we're begging for judgment, and this year seems significant from multiple coincidences that either they're just coincidences or big things are about to happen. Our next video will look at a time of judgment. Thank you for considering this. Look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for being here.